Podcasting is more than just talking. It's listening. BSing with Bob Schmidt.
It's the BS with Bob Schmidt podcast. With me as a guest this week is a good friend of mine, Chris Jones. He's an AGT alum. He's a retired marathoner. He's a philanthropist, and he's a hypnotist.
Yeah.
And Chris and I met probably 6 years ago when I was doing my radio program. He came into town to do a college show, and I invited him into my studio, and we hit it off right off the bat.
We did.
I mean, I asked you. I think the first question I asked you is it true? Do people really get hypnotized? And you're like, yeah. And you kind of walked me through your show. And since then, I've seen your show a couple of different times in La Crosse, and I watched with proud eyes when I saw you on America's Got Talent.
Thank you. Yeah.
And my folks were just in town this last weekend for my birthday, and I was telling them that I'm friends with you and that you're going to be in town and you're going to be here later. And they didn't know who Chris Jones was. I'm like, one word, Chris Jones. You should know who Chris is. So I threw it up on YouTube, and we watched you on AGT just this morning. So it was really cool to see that. And then I didn't catch the first time I saw it the second handshake with Howie Mandel.
Oh, okay. So you saw me shake his hand.
So I shake his hand twice. Because you shook it the once, and then as you're walking off the
Oh,
stage,
yeah.
You did it again. And I'm like, damn, that guy's got his shit together.
Yeah.
Ballsy move,
Yeah.
Chris. So
I shook his hand a second time and spanked him on the ass.
how did doing that stage with America's largest stage to do something like that?
How did I do it, or what happened as a result?
Well, let's just when you were up there doing
Okay.
it, what went through this kid from Chicago that went to school at UWL that here he's on a humongous stage.
Right. I mean, I think everything that might have gone wrong did. Like, I'm very grateful for the opportunity, but like, they're telling me I'm going to go on in any second, and they're like, hold on. So I'm just watching other contestants go and go and go. And then they're like, you're going to go on in a second. I was like, okay, here I go. I'm ready now. And they're like, nope, still waiting. And finally I go on, and the idea is to hypnotize people in the audience and then try for the handshake with Howie Mandel. But Nick Cannon goes up there, and he's like, if you do not want to be hypnotized, leave. And although the show's for millions of people, there were like 300 people in the audience.
That's it?
And so like 200 some people left. And so I was like, no, like, stick around, stay. But I was like, all right, Howie Mandel come up here, hypnotize him real fast, hypnotize people in the audience, because they were my backup plan.
Right.
And then Howard Stern gave me the X, and that fired me up.
Now let me ask this: when he had the X, because I watched as Howie's head went down. I don't know if there's any editing with that where they put him down when he hit the
right
and he hit the buzzer. Were you afraid that Howie would wake up?
I was afraid he would wake up, and that pissed me off. And it was so incredibly loud. It was like 25 air horns tied together, and like everything just goes red. I'm like, what? And then I was like, oh, I guess I'm done. They're like, no, you got one X. Keep going. I was like,
so you actually stopped.
I thought that was it. I was like, shit.
Yeah.
And I don't know if it was Heidi or Mel or just I have no idea. They was just like, no, keep going. You only have one X. And I was like, oh, all right. And then I was like, here comes the sleeves. They're coming up. Howie Mandel, you wake up. I'm wearing gloves. Shake my hand. I didn't know if it was going to work, but I was fired up to go.
Right.
And it did. And then they're like, no. And then I did it again. And then they sat him back, and that was just improvised. Like, Heidi Klum is like, can you fix him so that no more? I was like, oh, yeah. Let's piece of paper, go to sleep.
And when
I
saw that, like, here, I just wrote this. I want you to say, go to sleep. And he went to sleep.
Yeah.
That was, to me, that was just... it was beyond words.
I'm glad you liked that. I love my job. I'm used to it now because I've been doing this professionally for 8 years, and I hope I don't sound smug, but like I'm like, yeah, this is my job. You're supposed to do that. But at the time, it was awesome for me. And other hypnotists have reached out to me and said, hey, how do I get on the show? And I tell them how I did it. I was like, reach out to them, ask them to invite you. But no hypnotist has made it on the show, and I feel very good about that. There's been magicians and jugglers and ventriloquists and singers, but I am the only hypnotist to ever go on the show.
So, it blows my mind that there's only 300 people on the stage, because when they show, it looks like there's a lot more people than that.
True, and that was for my audition. My audition was in New York, and when they go to Radio City Music Hall, they sell out Radio City Music Hall, and I don't know how many people are held in that theater venue, but for me it was 100 and some people were watching me, and 200 people left.
Really? That's crazy. If people are hearing some noises in the background, like cars and stuff, we're actually broadcasting. We're doing the podcast from my front porch.
It is a beautiful day out. Yeah, I didn't want to be inside, so we were outside.
So we're actually hanging out on my front porch doing the podcast from here, and you might even hear the mail person come by and deliver mail later too. So you never really know, which is kind of cool about doing these things face to face. But podcasting is a lot different than radio, because with radio I have my headphones on and a microphone right in front of me. Now we're kind of both talking into a. I don't even know how you'd explain this thing. It's like a travel. It's a portable studio,
right?
Or a portable.
It looks very nice.
It works out really well.
And
I think.
Podcasts are cool, especially if you're a comedian. Every comedian has a podcast because they're on the road and they meet a friend, and I think they want an excuse to drink, see a friend, and shoot the shit.
Right.
Like I listen to Hannibal Buress, and his is called The Handsome Rambler. He's a Chicago guy, and they just shoot the shit, and I like it.
No, have you done a lot of podcasts?
You were my first radio,
right?
So thank you for that. But I've done like 4 or 5 at the most. Yeah. And
you usually have somebody traveling with you to take pictures.
I usually have someone traveling.
There's usually a video person.
The road is
because I met your cousin.
Yep.
And
Shane Allen.
Brandon. Is that?
Yeah, my cousin Brandon. Good memory.
Your cousin, and Shane is tall dude.
Yeah,
another lacrosse. But he goes to Japan all the time. Man.
Yeah, I did a show with him in Japan. Like I always wanted to go to Japan, and he speaks Japanese. He's a guy from Milwaukee.
Yeah.
And then I don't want to talk about his circumstances, but I mean, his family did not have money. Like
right.
His mother more or less raised him and his sister, and he's like, well, there's this exchange program where if I go to Japan, I'll get fed all the time. It's like he literally learned Japanese
just to eat,
to eat and not be a burden.
Wow.
I mean that in the nicest way, the sincerest
right.
way, Shane, when you listen. But he learned Japanese and he taught English in Japan for a little while. And then he came over to my apartment and my girlfriend is there. And I said, I really want to go to Japan. And I said, are we all free for like these 8 days? And he's like, yeah, I'm free. And she's free. And I booked a Delta flight and then 2 more. And I was like, all right, we're going to Japan. We're going to sit together business class. And he's like, cool. And then he booked me a show there.
Right.
And he was prepared to translate because I was going to do the show in English and he would do it in Japanese. But he booked us at a British pub in Japan.
Really?
For an all English speaking audience. We had a great time. And it was great.
Let me ask this: if you were to try to hypnotize Japanese people
mm-hmm.
or somebody, it doesn't matter, whatever language, would the English translate over to hypnotize?
As long as the person is a good translator, it would be fine.
But if they didn't speak English, I mean, would they be able to just by your cadence and your tone and your...
Oh, interesting. I've had a show where in Chicago where very few people spoke English as their first language. They all were English speakers, but they spoke Spanish first. No one got hypnotized. And then I was like, could someone translate? And I was like, sleep. And they go, duerme, or whatever.
Right. Sleep,
duerme. 1, 2, 3, duerme. And someone went out.
So basically, just repeating what you said.
It's not my tone per se. It's as I say it, you say it in that language. Because we hypnotized an older lady, and she was, I don't know, super sweet, maybe 6 years old. And I only did like one routine. I said, when you wake up, you can see right through my clothing. And then 3, 2, 1, 1, 2, 3. Mira, wake up, look. And she's like, ay Dios me. She's doing the sign across. Ay Dios. She's like, no. I didn't do a single routine except for that. And she's like, no. She's just grabbing things and covering them. She's like, no, I can't. I know. And she's like, oh, shame. I was like, I'm sorry. And for 20 minutes, it never lost its edge. I was just like, I'm sorry, I'm negative. Oh, no. She, ¿Dónde está policía? And I was like, I don't know where the police are. That was my whole show.
But it
was very
that's
fun.
Pretty funny. So you have a resemblance to Drake.
I look a little bit like the Canadian rapper Drake.
I
look like Drake
a lot bit.
Yeah.
I know that last time you were in town one other time, I think, since then. But the 2 times ago when you were here, I hung out with you with a buddy of mine, and a couple girls downtown La Crosse actually thought that you were Drake, which was funny.
Only in La Crosse, and I don't know if it's like because they've seen my poster on campus. And so they know that they've seen me somewhere.
Right.
And, like, the bars are dark. This is the only place where they'll say, are you Drake? Or, like, a little kid will do that.
Right.
But most people are just like, hey, I know you get this all the time. you look like, I was like, yeah, I kind of look like Drake.
Right.
But only in lacrosse are they like, you're Drake, right? And I was like, no. You saw a poster. I'm the hypnotist.
But it's still pretty cool. It's pretty cool to be noticed.
I like attention. Otherwise, I wouldn't be an entertainer.
Right.
I like attention. I also like being left alone.
But isn't that fun? I mean, isn't that the struggle? Because I like that too. I like to do my craft, but then leave me the hell alone.
Yep.
You know,
I feel very safe when I'm in my car, and I'm listening to a podcast or Audible, and then I can be with people. Yeah, but I probably eat like, I don't know, meals by myself 3 times a day, 5 days, 6 days a week.
Really?
Yeah, I eat a lot by myself.
Wow, crazy. You said you listen to podcasts. What do you listen to?
Of course, there's a Joe Rogan Experience.
BS with Bob Schmidt? What?
Oh, BS with Bob Schmidt? Yeah,
I'm just kidding.
No, this just happened. How many episodes have you done so far?
Well, I publish every Wednesday at 1:30, so I think I'm on 37.
Okay.
36, 37, somewhere in there.
Okay.
Yeah, so now you've got 37 episodes to catch up to.
I will.
But Joe Rogan, a lot of people listen to Joe Rogan.
He's good.
Have you been on his show?
I have not. I got to be on the Adam Carolla podcast.
Okay.
That was really cool. And I flew out to Vegas to be there, and he was selling and giving away Mangria, which is his version of sangria, but it's more potent.
Right.
And we're out by the pool, and I just show up, and I see him like with my friend Adam, like that's him. He's over there. And then Adam Grabowski, that my friend is talking to me, and then Adam Carolla just parts everyone. He's like, "Hey, Chris Jones, thanks for coming on the show. I'm Adam Carolla." I'm like, "I know. Thank you for like." Even he's like, "Yeah. If you need anything at all." Just super cool guy.
Right.
And then I was talking to his producer because I didn't want to bother him. Like, how much time do I have? What do you want me to do? And he's like, just do your show. Like, do however long you need to do. I'm like, well, no. But like, it's like, yeah, he's going to introduce you, and then you just do your show.
Right. Now, is your show different every time? So if you go to different places, is it based on the geography or
absolutely
based on?
Like Vegas, I could be a little bit more dirty, and I could be political, and it didn't matter because everyone didn't know each other's politics. But like if you go to a private liberal school or like a public school, it changes up.
Right. Now, does it matter the makeup of the audience?
Also, I mean, I go on stage. Hi, I'm Chris. I'm going to tell you 3 things. 1, you're wondering if it's real. You're thinking 2, will he actually hypnotize me? And 3, you're thinking he looks like Drake.
Uh-huh.
And then I go, freeze, everybody, clap your hands. And I go, good job, white people. I'm proud of you. And some schools are like, that was funny. Yeah, we're really white. And some schools are like, we don't mention race here.
Right. So when you get that, do you step back and kind of
I do
change your show?
I do. And sometimes if I'm having a really strong show, I'll just poke in the bear.
Right.
Like I'll tell them the truth. Like I grew up with a speech impediment. I talk too fast to compensate. Like I don't hear short syllables. So you just got to say your name again. Like as a kid, I couldn't say the word milk. So I used to call milk by the sound. I used to call milk nook nook nook.
Really?
Because when you pour it, it goes nook nook nook. And they're like, oh, that's cute. Or they'll be like, oh. And I'm like, no, it's okay now. Like I'm rich. And then I'm like, well, I'm not Republican rich, but I'm still rich. And they're like, ooh. I'm like, oh, if you don't get that, you'll get it when you're older.
Right. So you throw that kind of stuff out there and just kind of gauge the audience or whatever.
And just as a kind of F you, like I like poking the bear.
Do you ever swear on stage?
I do.
Do you?
Yeah. Yeah.
What's one of your bits that went sideways?
Oh God. Fudge. So I did an orientation, and God. So this was like the worst show because I was going really, really well. Everything was fine, and I did this Family Feud routine, and there were 3 questions: Family Feud, an actual Family Feud.
Right.
One is like, name a game you wouldn't play with your family, and then they ring in. Name something men do that annoys women. And then
isn't that just get up in the morning?
Right. Breathing /
asking,
existing.
Yeah,
Breathing, existing were the first answers. And I go, name something you squeeze.
Right.
And I go, boobs, grapes, stress ball, ketchup. And so I was like, let's do one more. And so I was at a Wisconsin school, not lacrosse, and I said, name something that falls from a tree. And they go, apple, lemon, coconut. Someone goes, banana. And the guy goes, black people?
What does that even mean?
As a reference to like lynching.
Oh.
Yeah.
Oh.
Yeah. And like,
so being a black man, what was your reaction?
I was like,
reaction?
whoa. and they were like, and every audience is looking at me, and I'm like, remember, guys, they're hypnotized, so like, it's not referencing them as people. They're hypnotized. It's like they're very drunk, so don't forgive them for that.
Right.
And then I was like, let's try this again. Then I was in North Dakota. I said, name something falls from a tree. And a guy says, I hate to say this, I have autism, but in the past, African Americans. I was like, whoa. And then I did it a third time at a different school.
Right.
And a guy's just like, black people. And I was like, fuck.
Really?
Yeah. And I was like...
But are we... Okay, let me ask this. And
don't worry.
Facebook Live and...
Yeah.
Are you glad that they didn't say the N-word? Or did they say the
Oh,
N-word?
yeah. I never even thought about that. Like, if they would have said that, I would have probably wanted to punch them.
But you know what I mean? If they would have said...
Yeah. I never thought about that. I mean, I did a show in Utah, and like a white guy dropped the N-word, but it was very funny more than anything. And that's only happened once, and it was in Utah.
Right.
I do a routine where the cops are here, and the cops are at the party, and they're going to bust you. And so I'm like, what were you doing at the party? It's like, we were just hanging out. All right, so walk me through this. You got up, you showered, I got dressed, all right, and then you went to the party. What'd you do when you got to the party? I was like, what's up, niggas? And the audience erupted.
But that's not a
It's not
negative. That's
no.
not a negative way.
And there's a big difference between the hard R and not having an R.
Right.
And so, and in answer to your question, and the same routine where the guy is like, black people, I was like, oh, okay. Same show, a woman took off her top. And because I was like, guys, the police are here, hide, turn your shirts inside out. And a woman took off her top, and I felt very bad. I didn't notice, and they were like, Chris, and she's like, off stage left. I remember it like probably to the day I died, and I was like, oh god. And then she covered up. On the next day, I got an email, not from the school. The school forwarded an email from her parent. Her dad was like, she was so excited. She was a 4.0 student in high school, member of the 4-H club, and in 15 minutes, your hypnotist made her feel like a complete bimbo. I was like, God, like, I feel very bad. Like, you can't make someone do something against their will.
Right.
But that's I wouldn't want that for any parent. I wouldn't want that for any daughter, any child. But I feel very, and like, I tried to respond to the parent, but they didn't include his email. And, yeah, that stinks.
Yeah. I mean, so does that really make you feel like shit? I mean...
Yeah, like I went to the bar afterwards and I saw my buddy and his wife, and I was like, hey, like, this woman took off her shirt on stage, and I feel really bad. And they're like, was she hot? And I was like, well, I mean...
But does that matter?
I mean... I don't know, it's interesting. Yeah,
right.
Yeah.
Yeah, I didn't mean to bring you down or whatever. But
and in hindsight, that's happened. I usually don't do that routine, but I was in Ohio like earlier this year. I did the same routine. It's like, guys, I was like, men, take off your shirt. And this person took off their shirt, and I looked at their chest, and I was like, that's strange. And there's a scar under the nipple line, another scar, and I was like, oh my god, this person was born woman and had their breast removed. And I was like, oh my god.
But you know that must mean that exactly where they should be.
Yeah,
as a man, you know what I mean, as a man.
And I was like, shirts on. The show's over, and I was like, hey, I'm very sorry. Like, no, like if you didn't know that I wasn't born one way, I've never felt more confident. And that person said, I took off my shirt. Right. I've never been more confident. And I was like, that's awesome. Like, okay.
How does being a hypnotist? Because do you book your own shows?
I have an agent.
Have you always had an agent?
Yeah.
Okay. Are you would you consider yourself an entrepreneur?
I'm self-employed and been since I was 23. I don't sell anything. I think if I was...
But you sell yourself. I mean...
The agents tell me, yeah, I'll hire someone to edit my videos, and I have a website, but I don't sell anything. The agents... I just do the best show I can.
Right.
And then I don't do a hard sell. I'm like, hey, if you like me, tell my agents, they'll rebook me. But that's it.
Really? So what about the marketing side? Because I mean, I know that you're marketing yourself. You got to, otherwise. I mean, if you're not being Chris Jones, you know what I mean?
I hear you. I never took a business class. Like, I wasn't good with math and numbers. I really didn't care about money. I like giving it away. So
let's talk about philanthropy in a little bit.
Yeah.
But
Yeah. I mean, I really wish that I have a website and I have a manager and she tells me where to go and she does some of my social media, but I did a Walmart commercial. That was fun.
I was actually going to bring that up a little bit later, but that was like a Christmas 2 years
Christmas, ago? Yeah. And my manager, Alex, is like, Walmart wants to do a commercial with you. I'm like, I don't shop at Walmart. And I like unions. And she's like, well, hear them out. And I like the concept. And it was, I take people who are stressed out for Christmas and I hypnotize them into being little kids again and having their favorite memory come true. And that was on Facebook and Snapchat. It actually made it to TV. It was a 3-minute commercial.
Right.
But
it never made it on television?
Didn't make it to TV.
I wonder if I saw a link on your stuff or if,
yeah.
But I
it
did
never
watch
made
it a
it to
couple
TV.
times because
it
was awesome.
It was very, very fun. And then there were no actors, and I saw like just a couple comments like, "This is amazing. If only it was real." Right. And I wanted to be like, "No, like I was stressed over this. Like this is 100% real."
Well, let me. Can I spill the beans on your new show?
Yeah, please.
Okay, well, because the whole Walmart thing with the commercial that you have there with the, tricking kids into, or having people think that they're children again and talk about their memories. Now, you have a new show called Double Take.
Double Take.
That's going to be coming out here
it's
shortly.
It's on Facebook Watch.
Well, actually, it'll be after this is aired. So
okay.
it's already
in
out
there,
folks. It
broke every record.
It's the best show ever.
It's better than Black Panther. No, that's sacrilegious. That is the third highest grossing movie of all time.
Really?
Yeah, I don't think if it's after inflation or before inflation. Again, I'm not good with numbers, but third biggest. Wow. E.T. and Titanic both beat it.
Really? And that's
any movie ever made.
Third biggest movie ever. And I hate to say it, I never saw it.
And that's okay.
I haven't seen it yet. I will see it eventually, but
I only know about that and I care about that because Jamie Foxx interviewed Chadwick Boseman, the actor who was in James Brown, Get On Up, and Jackie Robinson's Story. And he said, third biggest grossing. And he's like, the thing is, when they were marketing that in other countries, because the movie went international, they said, we can't use your face on the cover.
Why?
Because he's a black guy.
Are you kidding me?
No, we're going to use the mask. We're going to use the mask. But they're like, just trust us, like the face isn't going to sell the movie. Your face. And like, you stare at his face for 90 minutes in the movie.
Right.
Like, one, he's a handsome guy, and two, he's in the movie. Like, if you're going to be a racist prick, don't watch a movie called Black Panther where it's just black people everywhere.
Right. So,
but
that's a whole other
thing.
You just blew my mind actually with that. I'm like, I have no idea what the hell even to say after that. So the show is your new show, Double Take. So when you came to my house to do the podcast, I was watching Impractical Jokers.
Yeah.
Right before you walked in, because I was trying to get in a mood because that show makes me laugh.
Oh, good.
And you're like, my show is.
Some of the producers from my show, Double Take, wrote and created some of the ideas, the beats of Impractical Jokers. They're like, yeah, we hang out with Sal, and
I'm like, you got a show?
Yeah, you didn't know.
You have a show? Tell me about your show.
And it's hard to explain it. Like, people are like, oh, what channel? When? I'm like, well, it drops September 5th, but it's on Facebook Watch. I'm like, what's that? I'm like, I think it's their version of YouTube.
Right. Well, I think they're trying to take over YouTube as well. I mean, Facebook is always trying to do the next thing.
Yep.
And even if they're following, they're trying to do it better than the other people. Because did you have a MySpace before? Or are you too young?
I think I had a MySpace for a day.
Young.
Well, I remember Facebook dropped when I was a freshman in college at La Crosse.
Okay.
So
and
I was like, I don't need Facebook.
See, I did the same thing.
I don't want that friendship. Shit. And now I'm like, who liked my thing today?
Yeah.
I'm addicted.
Do you watch that stuff all the? I mean, do you check your numbers and stuff?
I do, and I don't really care about the numbers, but it's like, you didn't like that? I thought you would like that. I thought you would like that.
Then you get mad when people don't. Like,
yeah, like, did you see this?
Yeah. No, like, do you look? Because I will look to see if certain people do.
Mm-hmm.
And if they don't, I'm like, well, what the?
Yeah, this is totally up your alley.
Chris didn't even like that I posted that we're doing this Facebook Live.
I didn't like. I saw that. I didn't like it. But I did make my own comment.
I did see your own. Yeah. I did see your own comment because you're hanging with the chancellor afterward.
That's cool.
But what's Double Take? What is it?
So the executive producer is John Cena, which is amazing. WWE John Cena.
So do you feel tiny next to him?
I am so small. Would I be tiny? You be small too. Really? I don't know how tall he is.
So he's a big man.
The veins in his arm are thicker than my arm. The veins in his arm, and they just are ropes.
Really?
And he just has these big ass hands. And going in, I'm like, I'm not going to be intimidated by him at all. But he Not in a bad way. He just, when he walks in the room, some of the energy of the room is taken into him. He's just like this massive.
So you actually saw him get larger as
he's just, and like we put him in an apron. He's just busting out of the apron.
Right.
It's a big guy.
Now, so the premise of the show is basically
I hypnotize people who love celebrities, specific celebrities. So John Cena, Adam Rippon, the openly gay ice skater who took bronze, Nene Leakes from Real Housewives of Atlanta, Steve-O from Jackass, Gabriel Iglesias, a.k.a. Fluffy.
Right.
And
he's funny, I think.
He is so funny. And I hypnotize these super fans discreetly without them knowing. And then they meet the celebrity, and they have no idea it's a celebrity.
There's one
and
that
they
you,
just treat
that
like a
you
regular
didn't
person.
even say.
There's one that I didn't say. Who did I say?
P.A.
Pam Anderson! Yeah, I met Pam Anderson. And it's something weird to be like, hello, it's nice to meet you. I've seen you naked already.
Have people ever said that to you?
Yeah, actually, in hindsight. I know that's a good callback. It's like, yeah, you were in my art class. Like, I never took art. I was a nude model at UW La Crosse. We were talking about that.
I never saw that class.
You didn't know. I needed more attention, and I wanted to get paid.
So basically, you hypnotize these people that love these people, into not knowing that they're them.
Yep. So this guy, and I'm very happy with the show because the gentleman for Pamela Anderson wasn't creepy. It wasn't like, oh, I've always wanted to marry her. He was like, I have nieces, and I want them to grow up and be responsible adults and empowered, and I just think what she does, her work for Feed the Children, is wonderful. And so I hypnotized him to think that he was going to go on a friendship date with her.
Right.
And he was all excited, and he brought flowers, and then he sees the hostess, and the hostess is actually Pam Anderson.
Right.
And he's treating her like a typical person, like, oh, I'm a chef, and this place is amazing. And then she's bad-mouthing Pam, and he's defending her, and she just keeps... we don't have lines for the show, but we have bits. Like, you could say this, or you could say this, and these are your options. Just, it's like jazz music.
Right.
But she was just like, she's not a real actress. She slept her way to the top, and we're like, this is all her.
So she's like, she's just coming up. So she probably took every negative thing that she's ever heard anywhere.
And she's not a real actress. Yeah, she's still relevant. I was like, damn, Pam, be nice. And then at the end, we show them the playback, and it's amazing because they watch themselves on the screen, and they're like, yeah, that's me. I'm like, that's John Cena. That's Pamela Anderson. That's your hero, Steve-O. And they're like, no, that's the hostess. That's the baker.
So even after they...
And then I go, double tape. I snap my fingers, and then they realize it, and they're like, oh my God. And then, I can't believe I did that in front of my hero. And I'm like, yeah, that was cool.
Was there one that's like a super great reaction?
I don't want you to spill. And the cool thing is, like, in Practical Jokers, we invite one of their best friends. So we're like, hey, Lorenzo, bring your wife, bring your girlfriend. And, like, he brought one of his best friends. And I'm backstage watching from the behind the scenes, and we're laughing our asses off as he's just being ridiculous.
Right.
Yeah.
That's.
I didn't think up the idea. I wish I had. But
how did they contact you? Why did they say I want Chris to do it rather than
you get into holding agreements, which are kind of fun and kind of stressful because you say I'm not going to do any work with any other company for a year, 2 or 3 years, and then they can say, hey, we're going to pitch you to Fox or the CW, and then you do a show with them, and sometimes it gets sold, sometimes it doesn't. I got fired from Fox.
Really?
I was hired by Fox.
To do what? Or do you don't want to talk about?
I can talk about. I was going to get like $17,000 an episode, and it guaranteed 12 episodes, and I was like, hell yeah!
Yeah.
And it was a TV show that's popular in the UK called, it's not Double Take. That's my show. That's the one that's successful. Arrogant, but You're Back in the Room. That's the name of it. You're Back in the Room, which is, it means you're snapped out of it in the UK. It's the equivalent of snap out of it. You're zoned out. And there, we hypnotize people not to do simple tasks. So if you can decorate frosting on a cake, every cake you do, you get $500. And there's like 8 contestants, but they're hypnotized. And they know they're going to be hypnotized. But every time they hear the word chef, they put their face in the cake. And so they're losing thousands of pounds because they're hypnotized. And it's funny. But they hired me to do it, and after the first day, we just weren't hitting it off. Like, I was like, this your audition process isn't working. Like, you're hiring people or potentially casting people who aren't really hypnotized, but they want to be on TV.
Right.
And, like, I don't want to do that if they're not really, really hypnotized. Like, you're coaching them on how to be hypnotized. And they're like, we know what we're doing. And they were British, and I used to love the British accent, and now I can't stand it because of them.
How many people fake it when they're up on stage?
I don't want anyone faking when I do the show because the audience can tell, and you can tell by their faces. There are some people. There's always someone who's on stage, and they're just a little strange when they're hypnotized, but they're probably strange to begin with.
Yeah.
But the first routine I always do is forget your name. If there's someone who says their name, I'm like, you're great, you're fantastic, just go back in the audience. But if they can't say their name, and you see them trying with all their energy to say it, pronounce their name, they can't, they're good. And then I keep going.
Huh. So you can kind of tell. Or,
yeah.
Like when you do that, when you do that, like, hey, touch your nose thing?
Yeah, if they touch your nose, your face. If they're just touching, they're like looking around, like, I'm touching it. I'm like, yeah, well, you went out. You're awake now. So.
Right. Do you ever want to mess with those people?
Every now and then it's malice, but usually it's just they're like, I want to be on stage with my friends, and I'm like, no. But only when it's guys trying to fake. Like, I'll have people come up and like, sir, I know you're not hypnotized. Audience, is he hypnotized? No. All right. We can tell the difference, can't we, audience? Good job.
And then you just move on and set them down.
Same as people just like talking in their show. Like, they'll be talking, and I'm like, hey, maybe don't talk during the show. Like, this is live. You can talk outside. And if I keep pausing talking to you, your friends next to you will get pissed. Right. I want them to like you.
Yeah. Biggest show you ever did?
5,000 people was in Boston.
Really?
Yeah.
Is it different doing a 5,000 as it is to doing a group of 20?
Because you'll get 10% of the audience usually.
Really?
And you don't want 50 people hypnotized at once.
No.
Lacrosse tonight might be 2,000. Yeah, you might have 20 people, 25 people on stage being crazy.
But when I've seen your shows in the past, you've got people up on stage, but there are people that were hypnotized in the audience that actually do some of the stuff that you're having them do on stage. And it's funny because one of them was sitting right in front of me, and they're like doing whatever.
Yeah. They're on a roller coaster in front of you, and you're like, "Are they going to be okay?" And I'm like, "They'll be fine eventually."
Don't fall out.
If they don't die. No, yeah. And I got a phone call once from their advisor, Drea Higgins, and she's like, "Chris, one of the girls last night was dancing so hard she got a concussion." And I'm like, oh, I'm sorry.
Right. Like, now, is there liability at all?
I have liabilities insurance.
Right.
But it is scary because I should film every show.
Right. Well, a lot of times, like we talked about earlier, you got a lot of times that people are, with you to do that, which I think is really cool. Do you ever go back and watch yourself?
No, I can't watch myself. There's no way.
No, okay.
I'll listen to myself the next day as I'm driving
to
see if there's a joke that I added or improvised. And I was like, oh, I got to write that down.
Right.
But I can't watch that.
So, were you naturally funny, or just that something just came?
No, I'm not even funny.
Well, you can get people to do funny.
I make people be funny for me, and I like to say that I'm elevator funny.
Right.
Like, you press a button for the elevator, you're in the elevator with me, I'll make you laugh to the 4th floor, and then I hope the doors open quickly, and I leave as quick as I can. Otherwise, I am out of material.
Your naturally effervescent personality doesn't
people
cover that?
I like people, and they can tell that it's transparent, and then they want to have a good time because shit out there is super depressing. So.
Right. A lot of times that I've had conversations with comedians and stuff, and big thing about comedy. There's a lot of depression and things that go on with that. Any issues like that with you at all? Just being a public figure.
I don't know if I told you. I'm sure you saw it on Facebook. People saw it. I went to the psych ward.
Didn't know that.
Yeah, I spent my 30th birthday in the psych ward. It was a really tough time. Like, my mom, when I was on America's Got Talent, my mom had cancer, and so
I do remember that.
I was Howie Mandel dropped, and it was May 26, 2015. It went viral, and my mom's in the hospital. She's in the hotel, and she's suffering from cancer, and she's watching on TV, and I'm drinking champagne. I just feel so bad because she's like slowly dying, but she's like, don't miss any shows, and so I put her in hospice at home. I could afford that, which was a wonderful blessing. And she passed away at home. She died about 30 seconds before I called. Landed in Utah. I called. I said, hey, how's my mom doing? And they said, we're praying over right now. And they're all optimists, like, hey, Ingrid, it's your son on the phone. And I said, if I drop your call, I'll call you right back. And then the call dropped. I was in the mountains of Utah. And I called her back, hey, I'm really sorry. I pulled over, and they go, your mom just passed away. And I was like, well, thank you. So then I pulled over, had a serious cry. And, like, that was the last time, like, I remember, like, having a show and just laughing really, really hard. Some of the comedy passed away that day. But I performed, and then I spoke at her wake. The next day, I spoke at her funeral, and then I performed that night. So, like, I performed when she died, before her wake, after her funeral. I didn't take any time off. And then a year later, I was on an airplane, a Southwest flight, and I was awake for like 2 days, and I thought the world was ending. I saw Donald Trump, and I heard a lot of hate, and I thought, like, somehow countries are using, like, it was just paranoia. And I was sitting next to a person, they pulled me to the back of the airplane, I was apologizing to the women, every woman on the plane in sign language, and I was talking to the men in rap lyrics, and I was beyond manic, and they pulled me to the back of the airplane, and this guy's just talking to me, and he shows me a badge, but it doesn't register to me that, like, he's a marshal, and I just keep talking and saying things, like, we gotta love each other. We land, and he's like, I'm proud of you. And he handcuffed me, I'm just screaming, like, we gotta love each other, we gotta get along. And, like, they wheeled me out, and they sedated me, and then I woke up, and this doctor, he's like, I'm Dr. Hussein, you're bipolar schizophrenic. And I was like, all right, you're a doctor, I believe you. And they put me in a psych ward bed, and my roommate was a Vietnam veteran, so I was like, he's going to kill me in my sleep. I'm going to die. And my girlfriend came to visit me, bless her heart. Like, we were only dating for a week. Like, this is my boyfriend. He's in the psych ward.
Yay!
I got it. And then it was just the worst thing. And then they gave us a TV. We got to watch TV in the room together.
Right.
And we were watching America's Got Talent, and I'm like, I was on this show. I hypnotized Howie. And they're like, he doesn't shake hands. Like, I hypnotized Howie. And they're like, he's insane. And my dad's like, he's actually a hypnotist. Like, he's not crazy about this.
Right.
But, oh my God. That was my 30th birthday. I've been fortunate since. The keys are, you gotta sleep. Yeah, as much as you can get worked up and stressed out, it's only life. Like, just don't take life that serious. But when someone dies in your life, there's a loss. You have to grieve. You have to take time. And it's kind of like if you just live in a house and you never take out the garbage, you never see a therapist. The house it's going to build up. You have to take the garbage outside weekly. There's nothing sexy about taking out the garbage. You have to just take out the garbage.
Right. Has it changed your life for the positive?
I think so. I mean, every day I think about my mom and I miss her.
Right.
But I realize that, you know, I look at homeless people and I want to give them $1 or a sandwich. But maybe they were like me and they were on their own airplane once and they made a bad choice. But I was fortunate. Like, my dad came and visited me. My girlfriend came to visit me. My dad snuck me in a deck of playing cards.
Yeah. And
I got to feel like a person again because I was entertaining people in the psych ward. It was cool. And, you know, they're like, why are you here? We're in the round circle. Why are you here? And I'm like, well, I'm a hypnotist. I'm sad. My mom died. And I'm dropping like $5,000 a month for my grandmother and a mortgage. And my money is just going nowhere. And then someone else is like, I'm addicted to smack. I have 2 kids, and I have a court date tomorrow. I'm like, my life's not that bad.
Right. Did that open your eyes to the plight of other people?
Oh, yeah, and part of that was, I mean, there was just so many things great in my life, but there were so many things that I needed to work on. I was dating a lot. And I didn't have a hobby, really. My hobby was going on dates with women. That was my hobby. And
Tinder.
And we had a rule at the agency, like, don't hook up with people who are at your show. Follow that rule. But then I would go to community colleges, and these women are, 30 years old, my age, so I would go on dates with them. Or I'd meet an advisor at a school, and I would date them. And the gentleman who found me a scholarship, Dr. Ronald Rashan, taught at UWL. He's now in Indiana. He's a provost. And he called me, and I was hungover, like, slept in my car. And I was like, hey, Dr. Rashan, like, you want me to perform at your school? I'm super excited. You saw me in America's Got Talent. You proud of me? And he's like, listen, like, don't talk. I hear that you have a problem sleeping with people after your show. And I don't work on that level at the university. I'm the provost. I'm hearing these things. And people wanted to bring you, but they know who I am as a person. And they said, are you going to allow someone like that to perform at your school? So we can't have you. And he's like, you can do whatever. You can. He said, you can say fuck you. You can say that. But I'm telling you, you are a young person of color. You're educated. And some people do whatever they can to pull you down. And like, I just listened. And then I was like, all right. And I was just holding back tears. And he's like, I love you. And I'm proud of you. And I'm still going to be proud of you. And we hung up. I started bawling, just crying. And that was part of a wake-up call. Because I always considered myself a feminist and a gentleman. And I even asked my girlfriend if I could kiss her before I kissed her. And I'd always ask consent. But even getting consent, you can still hurt people's emotions. And people shouldn't be hobbies. I might have the thought process of, well, I'm next to you, I'll be good to you, I'll be good to you. And I would. I'll pay for dinner, and you can come visit me on the road. But, like, we're not exclusive. And you should know that, and I know that. And if you just can't handle it, you can't handle it.
Mm-hmm.
But
So your provost professor, his words woke you up?
Oh, yeah. He said, what is your legacy? He's like, you have a chance to leave a legacy. When you leave a room, when anyone walks out of a room, people are going to say, what about that guy? What did he do to make this room better?
Mm-hmm.
And so I to this day, I think about that. Like, what is the legacy? And not even like in an arrogant way, a narcissistic way. Like, how are you going to leave the people in the room you just left? How are you going to leave them better?
All right, let's ask that then as a question. The philanthropist.
Okay.
Because you said, when I asked you how do you want me to explain to you when I introduced you, and you said you said you were on America's Got Talent, that you're a retired marathoner, hypnotist, and then you said philanthropist.
Yeah.
So how are you a philanthropist?
Well, I was fortunate. Like I said, Dr. Ronald Rashan.
By the way, hey, while people are listening, this is going to be an uncut version of my podcast. Usually I go in and I take out the odds and the ums.
Sorry,
and stuff.
everybody.
We're just having we're good. We're just having conversation on my front porch, and there's somebody mowing the lawn across the street. So we're trying to close doors and windows as we're talking here. But Dr. Ronald
Rashan, like sight unseen. I was a senior in college. He just calls me up. He's like, "Hey, brother, this is your brother, Dr. Rashan, and I hear you're doing great things. You're active in the church, and you're running track, and you got the good grades. Man, boy." And he's like, "I'm trying to get you to University of Wisconsin La Crosse. I know you're in Illinois. I'm trying to get you that in-state rate. You think you can come here if you get the in-state?" I was like, "Oh, I don't know. Like, it's up to my parents." He says, "All right, I like the way you think, young man. Listen to your parents." And we said goodbye. I didn't know who this guy was. Mm-hmm. My mom said, "He got you the in-state rate. You can get in. We can afford that." And then I met him. And he was always just kind and took time to talk to me. And, just sight unseen. The man found me a scholarship. I wouldn't be who I am if it wasn't for UW La Crosse. And then he called me when I was hungover, and he said, you're not where you should be. You're not where you should be. You have a chance to leave a legacy. What is your legacy? But then he's like, you can do what you want. You could say fuck you. You could say that. He's like, but they will tear you down. And I loved talking about philanthropy. I loved Bill Cosby. He didn't swear. He was clean. Like, if you were 2 or 100 years old, you could like Bill Cosby. And we didn't want to believe it. And then we were like, well, how many women need to come out and say this happened? How many women have to... If it was 10, would you believe it? If it was 50, would you believe it? If it was 100, would you believe it? And there's really no coming back from. Mm-hmm. Like, it doesn't matter how many scholarships you gave away, how many historically black colleges you advertised and helped and promoted. You can't come back from that.
So that was your change of your mind. So where's your philanthropy now then?
I give anywhere from $2,500 to $5,000 a year to the Oshkosh Placement Exchange. It's kind of a job fair for people trying to work in higher education. So once you graduate college, you can interview here, and they'll help you find a job anywhere in America. And so I have anywhere from 10 to 20 people. I pay for their travel for that. This year, I'm going to create the Ronald Rashan Legacy Foundation. So I'm going to tell people about that at tonight's show. Today's the 1st of September. So I'm going to $2,500 to a student who tells me how they're going to leave a scholarship or a legacy. That'll be the Ronald Rashawn. In my high school, I give some money there. But if you don't have money, and that's okay, and not saying that I do, as an entertainer, sometimes you get paid well. When I was at lacrosse, we played Stop the Bop. At the Clock Tower, we played Hanson's Bop. Straight. Bop,
Bop.
ding, ding, dop,
I actually met those guys. Those guys were really cool.
That's awesome.
Yeah, they were cool.
We played it 3,337 times in a week. Like
was
back
it
to back.
Non-stop? Did it take a whole week to play it that long?
It was Hurricane Katrina, I think.
Uh-huh.
It was my sophomore year of college.
That was right around this time of the year, too, because it was over my birthday, because I just turned 50 a couple of days ago, and I thought Hurricane Katrina was at that moment.
My girlfriend's birthday is September 11th.
Really?
Yeah, so, like, good people, bad birth dates.
Yeah, no kidding.
But it was Stop the Bop, and we're just like, we're going to keep torturing everyone on campus with this song until you give us $5,000.
Right. And how much did you end up getting it all?
I think I confused myself. 3,000.
August 23rd through August 31st.
Yeah, 7 days. That's insane.
That's crazy. Did you end up raising your $5,000?
No, we were shy. I don't know if we were shy like $1,000. We made it $4,000, I think, but that was fun. And then in lacrosse, I ran with the cross country team. We ran 50 miles.
So you literally ran with it.
Yeah.
I ran with the cross country team. I hung out with them maybe once.
No, I ran 1 year on the team. I got on and I was 24th out of 24 guys.
Yeah.
And I worked my butt off and I crawled my way up with a lot of dedication and hard work to being 23rd out of 24 on the team.
Really?
And then I was like, well, this is hard. 90 miles a week. I don't like this. I'm going to just be an RA. And I did the RA thing. And, I'm more of a social guy than a competitor.
Happy the way your life's gone?
Yeah. I can't think of much I would change.
Right.
I mean, I'm happy. I called my mom before she passed away. I'm happy I got to see her before she went non-responsive because it was cancer. And she didn't want to suffer. She was a nurse.
Right.
So she's like, well, I'm just going to, dry up. I'm not going to hydrate myself or stomach tube. I'm just going to go. And I was like, all right, it's you can do what you want, Mama. Yeah. But I got to go to Japan. I got to learn to see that. Japan is cool because they don't have garbage cans in public. Yep. And you're making a face. Japan doesn't have garbage cans in public because there is someone who put a bomb in a garbage can.
Oh.
And the government's...
That's why we don't wear shoes in airports.
Right.
Some jackass.
And the government's like, that's it. No more public garbage. And they're like, well, what if we have garbage? Take it home with you. And you're like, oh, okay.
Right.
And so there's just no garbage. You recycle it at home.
Is it trash?
No. And there's an island too, because they can't just ship it out to give it to another country. They're just huge on recycling, and they use less or they buy less. But I'm like, they got rid of garbage because I think 5 people died from a bomb, but the government's like, never again. But then people who are watching a music concert get shot up, and you're like, well, now's not the time to talk about gun laws. Let's mourn. No. Like, now is the exact time to talk and have that conversation.
My son works for he does Monster Jam, the big monster trucks and stuff.
Yeah.
He travels the country with those guys selling snow cones and cotton candy.
Hey,
makes good money doing that.
Right.
He's met a bunch of people that do these concerts and stuff, and he was in Vegas at the LG concert. It was the week before that guy shot up the 55. Scary. I mean, there's in the same venue,
right?
55 people got killed in that thing, and you think,
and 800 got injured.
Yeah,
I mean, I don't even know. Like, I just have all these hours to sit in my car and just think, like, okay, I can drive a car because I took a test and I proved myself. If I drink and drive, they take my license, I can't drive. Cool. I can't drive a truck. I don't have that certification. I can't drive a motorcycle. I don't have that certification. I think if we did the same thing, something similar with guns, you can have a gun because you've taken a class, you're responsible, maybe even have insurance for that gun. I don't know. But you shouldn't have a bazooka. You can't drive a truck if you drive a car. Why do you need that type of weapon. It's for protection. You're not protecting anything called assault.
Right.
Jim Jeffries nails it. He has this routine about that, and he just nails it. If you haven't checked it out, Jim Jeffries' routine on gun control is amazing. Every single argument one side could have, he just exposes.
Really? Have you ever ridden a motorcycle?
I have.
Okay, I was going to say, I got 2 scooters in the back. We can go for a scooter ride if you want when you're done.
That's a strong possibility. I will kill it once or twice, but it'll be fun.
So, is there younger kids that are coming up that want to be hypnotists?
Oh yeah. I mean, I get so many people on Facebook that are like, "When do you teach lessons? When do you teach lessons?" And they're from India and Saudi Arabia, which is kind of cool. I'm flattered, I guess. But then you get creepy guys too who are like, "I'm really trying to date this woman," and I'm like, not even like, I want to respond and be like, "Go swimming in the ocean. Don't tell anyone." With a piece of sausage in your mouth,
and make sure you load your pants up.
Yeah. Safety rocks.
Safety. Well, they'll help you at the
rocks for safety. Yes,
they will help you. And wear a meat necklace.
Yeah,
that's perfect. Perfect to jump right in with the sharks and stuff.
Oh my god,
which is great. Anything else I should be asking you? Anything else we should be talking about? Because it's a long podcast. Usually a podcast lasts about 30 minutes. We've already been talking 54 there and over an hour on Facebook.
I'm glad you have a podcast because this is therapeutic for me. Like, I dropped off the girlfriend at the hotel, and she's taking a nap, and she's like, are they fun? She's a social worker.
Right.
She's like, is it fun? I was like, yeah, like, it's therapy. You get stuff out there, and you can tell people, your story, and they can relate to that, hopefully. And for all the people out there who are like, I don't believe in hypnosis, I have a little anecdotal evidence. Phil Jackson used to hypnotize his players on the Bulls and the Lakers to improve their game. Tiger Woods would see a hypnotist to improve his golf game. Billy Mills, the American who had an incredible upset at the Tokyo Olympics, he practiced self-hypnosis all the time. And then even if you watch the show Ridiculousness, where people just get hurt on MTV, Rob Dyrdek, he saw a hypnotist because he was procrastinating. He said all he did was like smoke weed and skateboard and was just super lazy. And he saw a hypnotist to make him more motivated. Even hypnosis in childbirth, that's a thing. They use it in hospitals. Like, if you're trying to lose weight, quit smoking, that's a thing. And your insurance usually will cover seeing a hypnotherapist. So if you're like, oh, it's fake, that's fine, but you're not being a good scientist. You're not even Googling.
Can anybody get hypnotized?
I think anyone can be hypnotized. I know I can't get everyone. It works on trust, rapport, and wanting to be hypnotized. So if you're like...
Let me ask this. Because trust, rapport, and wanting to be hypnotized, okay, is it better or worse with somebody that you know? I mean, is it easier?
I probably can't hypnotize people that I know. Like,
I probably can or cannot?
Cannot, sorry. I hypnotized an ex-girlfriend because she saw the show so many times and she fell asleep in the audience. But that's pretty rare. Mm-hmm. It's like having a doctor who's like your older or younger brother. You're like, no, like, I've seen you naked in the bathtub. Like, I don't trust you.
Right.
You're ridiculous.
Right.
No.
But I would think that, I mean, because I've got a lot of friends that are entertainers, and they don't like doing shows when people are there. They know.
I mean, my dad would come to my shows, and I was like, hey, Dad, like, I don't want you to really come to my show because I swear, and I don't swear at home. We don't swear in the house.
Right.
And every time I'd be like, hypnotized. He'd be like, oh, dick. And they would laugh, but I'd look at my dad. And
you're looking for approval from
and I just like, like, that shit's amazing. I look back at my dad, and he called me up one day. He was like, I heard a joke, son. And he said the joke, and he was like, motherfucker. And the sick guy said, motherfucker. And I was like, oh, Dad. He's like, I just want you to know, son, I'm much older than you.
Yeah.
I've heard these words. I was like, well, thank you, Dad.
Right.
Thank you, Father.
No, let me ask that, because being and this people that don't, because you know me and we've talked a lot, and people that are listening right now will be like, why would this guy ask this question? So do people look, because you're a man of color?
Yeah.
Do people assume that because you're a man of color that you would swear, or because that you're not?
I don't know.
That you're not that bright, or that you're. I mean,
only this year do I recognize that people are maybe seeing me and they're wondering if I'm going to drop the N-word, because some black comedians do that.
Right.
Maybe, I don't know, but I don't use that word. I don't like the word. I don't think people should use the word. And I was doing a show in Bumblefuck, Indiana, and they said this next comedian learned hypnosis in college. He has a master's degree, and clap your hands. And I got on stage, and I was like, hey, And I got off stage, and I was like, I don't think the audience liked me that much. Like, they made noise, but and
Right.
the owner said they've never seen you before. They've never seen someone, a person of color, get up there with a college.
But don't you think that's
degree.
weird? Or do I think that's weird because I live in the Upper Midwest and
I think
and
so.
I see successful, black people. I see successful Chinese. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I see successful people, and I look at them as people rather than
Well, you also have a job where you talk to people all over, and when you did radio, you can, hello, this is Bob, BS with Bob, and then you just talking to a person, you have no idea what they look like,
Right.
if they're missing teeth,
Yeah.
whatever. You're just unless you can tell by the voice,
Right.
You're just talking. And so, I was in North Dakota, which is whatever North Dakota is, progressive, red, white, or blue, whatever. And I'm running, and I see two pickup trucks, and they both have the same Confederate flag sticker. And I put on my Facebook, and I was like, I saw this, Jim, and it said, "Fighting terrorism since 1861." And it was a Confederate flag. And both cars had the same sticker. And I'm running past it because I'm jogging, and I'm like, well, your truck and your cars are pieces of shit. Like, you need to let shit go because you're holding your windows together with duct tape. And then there were children in the car, and I'm like, now I feel bad for the kids. But I run past it, and I'm like, what terrorism were you fighting in 1861? Lincoln? Abolitionists? In 1861, you could just lynch black people. And then, after the end of slavery, there was Jim Crow. 1861, slaves were 3/5 of a people, or a person. That is terrorism. All right? So, I don't know.
Do you think we'll ever be equal? Everybody?
What's the best, quote unquote, best country? Maybe the most peaceful country is something Sweden. I think I saw that at USA Times. And yeah, I mean, there'll always be discrimination.
You think always? I mean, you think that okay? Because before we went on the podcast, if somebody watches the Facebook Live video, I don't know if we caught the whole part of that, but we're talking about when he first got in. When he first got into it, there wasn't a black president, there wasn't there wasn't gay marriages, there was blah blah blah, and you listed off 5 things that's changed just in the last 15 years,
right?
So
when they're like, "Make America Great Again," I just get nervous because I'm like, my grandfather was abducted by a Klans member. They held him for 3 days and they let him go. He escaped the South because he was in Arkansas, and they threatened to kill him at a bar. And he shot a white man, and he jumped on a train that was moving, and he escaped to Chicago. And he joined the Marines, or more or less was forced to join the Marines. And so when they're like, Black Lives Matter, I'm like, yeah, they matter. They matter a great deal. But you don't think that there are black police officers trying to make a difference, or brown or Chinese police officers? They get shot too. We're not saying your white life doesn't matter. We're saying it does appear this history of this country is showing us that people of color, some of their lives are less important than a white life.
do you think we'll see it ever equal where nobody looks at that, nobody looks at color? Because I think that my kids, I have a 23-year-old, I have a 20-year-old, and I have twins that are 16, and I am sure. Well, I guess I don't know positively, but you know what I mean. I don't think that they see color like I saw it when I was a kid, or like you saw it when you were a kid, or their kids hopefully will never. You know what I mean? I think that it fades out a little bit, but I see that as a 50-year-old white man. You know what I mean? Kind of got into the whole weird conversation,
and that's a good thing. There's this TV show, United Shades of America, and it's with a stand-up comedian. He's an African American. I'll have to give you his name later because I can't think of it. But he's talking about Jesse Jackson ran for president and lost. But if it wasn't for Jesse Jackson attempting it, there would have been no Obama.
Right.
And then you have Michael Jordan. And Michael Jordan said, I'm not talking about race because Republicans buy shoes too. But because there was a Michael Jordan, we can have a LeBron James. And LeBron can say, Trump is messing up. We won. We're not going to go as basketball champions to the White House. The Eagles can say we're not going to go. No, it's unacceptable. Your rhetoric is unacceptable. And on today, when we're doing this, John McCain's like, you're not talking over my dead body. John McCain's like, do not let Mr. Trump come to my funeral because that is disrespectful. I will let W. Bush, who beat me and became president. I'll let Barack Obama, who beat me. I won't let Trump come because, I mean, he was a prisoner of war. Mm-hmm. And Trump had alleged hill spurs.
Yeah, I have a blank look on my face. I don't know
what... okay. So Trump said that John McCain wasn't a war hero.
Oh, yeah, when he said that, yeah.
He had a war... He said he wasn't a war hero because he likes his heroes aren't... He likes soldiers that aren't captured. Heroes that aren't captured. But he was held for like 4.5 years, and I believe 2 years were in solitary confinement, which is like the worst thing you can do to a human person.
Yeah, yeah.
And Trump, when they tried to send him to Vietnam, he said he had heel spurs, that he couldn't go. He deferred it.
Oh, heel spurs.
I'm
okay.
Sorry, yeah.
Heel spurs. Wow.
Yeah, medical discharge.
I
can't tell you how upset I get.
50 years from now, you think that eventually things will be smooth out? You know what I mean? Or
I hope we have a female president. I believe right now in Atlanta, there's a woman running for governor. She's an African American, and there's never been an African American governor. I believe in the nation.
Let me ask this might be a good question. Do you think that there will ever be a time when you don't have to point out the fact that there's the first African American, the first Asian American, the first female, the first
or transgender, all these.
I mean,
do
you think there will be a point where it's just like everybody is? I mean, hey, say this. Who gives a shit? You know what I mean? It's a person. To see it as a person rather than to see it as a...
Maybe after you had the second and the third one, because like 2 nobody remembers, 2 is not a winner, 3 nobody remembers. Once you've had the third one, you're like, it's just a person now.
I grew up Catholic.
Me too.
And
I wanted to be a priest.
I did too.
Yeah.
Then I had sex for the
once you have sex, it is so good.
I'm like, I don't want to do this.
Even being safe and having a condom, we're like, this is amazing. But this is better than a grilled cheese sandwich with tomato soup.
Hey, that's Lenten for Fridays.
Yeah, there it is.
That's Lenten Friday's dinner.
You can do both.
But I never shared that before. So
if you're not watching, he's turning red. I'm not even kidding. As his shirt is red.
But JFK was the first Catholic president,
yes, he was.
and that was brought up. That was a big deal about that because that the Pope's going to run things. And I remember my mom telling me about that. It's like that'll and that never happened.
No.
But we haven't had a Catholic president since then.
I didn't even realize that.
So I mean,
yeah,
I guess you know what we should do. We should just we'll wrap up this conversation as a podcast. We'll do this again next time you're in town, or sometime when you're on the road, or I'll come and hang out with you sometime on the road.
Anytime you're in Chicago,
because
I'll take you to the best deep dish.
I don't have a job. I can come see you. Hey, if you need to hire a podcaster, podcastforhire.com will bring me in, do stuff for your business. There you go.
That's the thing, for real?
Yeah.
Podcast for hire?
Podcastforhire.com.
Shut the front door. All right. You're hired.
So what I'm doing is I hire myself out to do podcasts for small businesses and stuff to get their word out.
I respect that. Period. Not a comma. I don't like when people pay for Yelp reviews that are fake. You can sit down with a person, have a dialogue, and if that person isn't being transparent or genuine, it'll come true. You can hear it. But with these people, you can buy Yelp reviews.
Oh, can you really? I mean, so that stuff's all bought.
That's
See, with my podcast, basically what I'm doing is I'm selling it. So, like Chris Jones, I'd be like, we'll have a conversation, and I'll cut it into 3 to 5 minute podcasts, and I'll post them for you. I'll transcribe them for you. I'll give you that information you can do with and I've got 7 clients so far.
Fantastic.
Yeah. Cool. Necessity, my friend.
I hear you. I hear you.
How do people reach you?
That's a great question. Woo! I have an email. I'm not going to give it to you. I have a telephone. It's rotary.
And I'm not going to give you that either.
But I do have a website. It's quitwithchris.com. You can lose weight, quit smoking. Listen to quitwithchris.com. Listen to it when you're not driving. The audio encourages you to eat less, make better health choices, and the audio for quit smoking tells you really don't need to smoke cigarettes, and you won't get cranky even. Huh. So check out Quit with Chris. You can find me there.
So
it's free. I don't sell you anything.
You give that for free?
Yeah, well, my mom smoked for a little while, and I wish that she hadn't. And I have the ability to help someone in some way, especially give them a few more years of life. I cannot put a price on that.
That's your philanthropy working full circle right there.
That's true, too.
How do we find your performance?
Oh, yeah. So I'm with Bass Schuler Entertainment, BASS Schuler, SCHULER Entertainment. Different college every single night. Check out Double Take on Facebook Watch. And dream big dreams, people. Dream them.
As I like to say, be seen, be heard, be you.
Yeah. Thanks, Bob, for having me.
Chris, I appreciate you being on with me.
Absolutely.
The BS with Bob Schmidt podcast is brought to you by Orange Computer. Find them online at orangecomputerlax.com. And by Tri-State Sound and Light. Find them online at tristatesound.com. Tell your story with microcasts by podcastforhire.com. The BS with Bob Schmidt podcast is a podcast for hire production.